Sharpshooter King. I portray Company B, 2nd United States Sharpshooters. What can you tell me about my boys of Company B? I know you're in Pistler's Woods. How was the fighting over there?
Right now we're getting a milligauss reading here of 674.63. Did you see a lot of fighting, Sharpshooter? Welcome to a special Living Histories Mysteries. Tonight, Mark and I are examining the Riverside Cemetery in Dowagiac, Michigan. There's a lot of history here. Like I said before, we are at the Riverside Cemetery in Dowagiac, Michigan. Mark has done a lot of research on this cemetery, so I'm going to turn this over to him and let him tell you about it. What do you got for us, Mark?
Well, evening everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Drew's channel tonight. Like Drew says, we are at Riverside Cemetery here in Dowagiac, Michigan. As I was doing research on it, pretty much I was on this all day today, all day yesterday, finding out all kinds of interesting excerpts, testimonials, all kinds of other interesting headstones and people that's actually buried here. I'm standing next to Patrick Hamilton. As Dowagiac was getting bigger and during the time, he needed a area to bury the dead. So pretty much a mile west of us was a small ground that he called Hamilton Cemetery, named after him. As of right now, it is on private land. There's about 12 bodies still buried to this day on the cemetery. Hamilton's brother is one of them that's buried there. Hamilton himself, notes I've got was in 1851 he founded the Dowagiac Cemetery Association, and also one of the elementary schools is named after him, Hamilton Elementary School. So that was pretty interesting hearing about that. One of the first person to be buried at Hamilton Cemetery, his name is Bogue Williams. Now, interesting about Bogue Williams was parts of his remains is still buried there without no headstone. So to this day, he could still be there as long as several other people. A lot of the people that was buried in Hamilton Cemetery came over here about 20 years later. Riverside Cemetery didn't start until 1871. Now, I was doing a lot of research. I contacted the Cass County Historical Society, asking a bunch of questions like, where did all these people go? Because there's only 12, and there was about 80 that was buried at Hamilton. And they're like, well, at that time, there was something happened in the 70s, and a lot of the records during this time period, during the Civil War, before Civil War, and right after, just mysteriously got destroyed. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, it just got destroyed. I'm like, did it catch on fire? Did someone mishap? And they're like, they wouldn't tell me. I know Dowagiac had a couple bad fires, one back in 1864 and the other one was back in 1867. That was just a couple building fires. So during that time, Hamilton needed a bigger area to bury Dowagiac's dead, and hence how it's called Riverside Cemetery. Now the first person to be buried here was Louis Rashore. Now if you want to move your camera, Mr. Rashore, Louis, is going to be buried about 50 yards right behind us. Welcome back, everyone. Like I was mentioned by Mr. Hamilton Cemetery headstone, the first person being buried here was Louis Rashore. Hence, there's his headstone right here. 1824 to 1870. I tried to dig up some research on Louis here, and there wasn't very much. The only thing I caught up was he was good friends with Mr. Hamilton at that time, and Hamilton asked him, hey, I'm getting a new cemetery coming up. Would you like to be the first to be buried? And sure enough, he said yes. So again, this was the very first headstone buried here right in Riverside Cemetery. So, we're standing next to a grave by the name of Isaac Hawkins, 19 Michigan, Company H. Before we got out here, his headstone was literally on the ground. And for what he'd been through, I had to put his headstone right upside up. But I got here from his family, Mr. Hawkins. He wrote he did a journal as he was captured. This is what he wrote. Bear with me, it's a little long. On the 5th day of March, 1863, I was taken prisoner of war at Thompson Station in the state of Tennessee. I was marched on foot for 4 days and nights, nearly all the way to Tullahoma, where waded in a stream of water, which it was 3 or 4 times, was to the waist, and it was very cold. That same night, I camped on a hill and was exposed to the rain and a snowstorm, which was accompanied by high winds. I was given very little food, a half pint of cornmeal, small piece of bacon. Next morning, the Rebs stripped us of all our overcoats, woolen and rubber blankets. However, they let us keep our blouse, pants, drawers, socks, and shoes. I was loaded into a boxcar and ran to the sidetrack between Knoxville and Lynchburg. We switched off there, and we were laid there for 2 days in a bad snowstorm without any rations. We were taken to Lynchburg, marched through the city to make a show out of us, to show the townspeople how bad we were, what we did to their townfolk. Next, we were kept at the fairgrounds all night without food or blankets. On March 22nd, 1863, we were taken to Richmond, Virginia at Levy Prison. There, I was contracted with chronic diarrhea and had to be helped by fellow prisoners for roll call. I was there for 27 days until I was paroled and sent to Camp Chase, Ohio. So we're standing at a marker from a person by the name of Thomas Jefferson Martin. As you can see right on the marker here, it says mother of a slave, father was a white planter. Dowagiac barber for over 50 years, and also he cut Abraham Lincoln's hair, the founder of one of the Baptist churches over in Dowagiac. A little bit more information on Mr. Martin was he was born in 1820 on June 12th, Shelbyville, Tennessee. And he was resided in Florence, Alabama, growing up. During that time, he became a barber on several riverboats, all the way up to 1847, when he went up to Madison, Indiana. There he got married and moved over to Dowagiac in 1855. During his time when he was in Madison, Indiana area, he cut Abraham Lincoln's hair when he resided in Indiana when he was growing up in boyhood home area. All right. Standing next to Mr. Martin is his wife, Lori Martin. Did some little information on his wife here. She came from Virginia. Her master was James Clay, brother of Henry Clay. Early in life, she was liberated and moved over to Indiana, where she met Mr. Martin. Standing next to Mrs. Martin was their son, Cyrus Martin, where he was a private in the 102nd U.S. Colored Troops during the Civil War. He did survive during the whole duration, grew up in this area along with his parents. Another thing interesting about Mr. Martin, he was a Grand Master of the Colored Freemasons of Michigan, and was doctorate a 33-degree Masonry. So, one of the very first African Americans in the state of Michigan to join the Brotherhood of Masonry. Standing next to this gentleman here, Samuel Ingley. This one really brings a little bit more to my heart because he is a Verdun sharpshooter. As you can see, Company I, Verdun sharpshooters, first United States. Yeah, this one really hits home to me because me being a Verdun sharpshooter myself. All right, the person I'm standing next to right here, Private Joseph H. Watson, Company M, 1st Michigan Cavalry. One thing that was really interesting and sad at the same time, during the Civil War, he was captured at Robinson's River, Virginia, October 2nd, 1863. During that time, he was sent to Andersonville prison camp. Survived, released, and he was taken to a parole camp in Vicksburg. During that time, he boarded the ill-fated steamship Sultana. Later that early in the morning, if everyone doesn't know what the Sultana is, it's kind of like America's version of the Titanic. The person who owned Sultana, he was greedy and boarded a ton of Union prisoners of war to send them up the Mississippi to go home. He boarded them way too many, more than that ship was capacitated. Somewhere in wee hours in the morning, the boiler exploded, suffering about 1,500 casualties. Mr. Watson was one of those 1,500 casualties. Survived the Civil War, survived Andersonville, boarded a steam trip. That's how he got killed. It's just amazing. So, it is very sad as well.
All right, we've got cloud cover and intermittent rain. A lot of people think rain is the best time to do an investigation of a place like this, because of the electromagnetic interference and the storms and stuff. So we're going to go around, we're going to take a few readings. Basically just wait till dark. We've looked at the history. Now it's time to look at the mystery. walking through doing our pre-dark investigation, we ran across apparently, I'm thinking Justin.
Joseph Keene.
Is it Joseph Keene?
Joseph Keene.
Company C.
Yep.
First United States Sharpshooters.
Yep. Did some research on him. Mustered in 1862. Mustered out right at the end of the Civil War. Fought in every major battle that the Brigade Sharpshooters came in. Not even wounded.
That's okay, I just picked up something on the camera.
Oh yeah?
Hold on, I want to look at something.
ITC Legion Paraloose loaded. Scanning.
Sharpshooter Keene, do you have anything to say to us? We're here to listen.
Sharpshooter Keene. I portray Company B, 2nd United States Sharpshooters. What can you tell me about my boys of Company B?
Sharpshooter Keene, can you talk to the little orange box? Right now we're getting a milligauss reading here of 674.63. Did you see a lot of fighting, Sharpshooter? All of our experiences at this location so far could not in any way, shape, or form prepare us for what was about to happen.
Sharpshooter Keene.
Diablo.
You know what that means.
The devil.
Was fighting in Pitzler's Woods the devil? I know you guys were fighting Alabamians.
Explain. 10.
10 guys you were up against, or? Or was that how many you had in your company was 10? Can you tell me how many the 3rd Maine had with you?
Black.
Chills now. 3rd Maine lagged big time.
Say what?
3rd Maine lagged during that time of the battle. What do you mean by lag? That means the 3rd Maine was moving us slow?
Sammy.
Sammy.
Can you tell me who Sammy is? Shepshire King, can you tell me who Sammy is? Is he part of the 3rd Maine, or was he part of your one of your comrades? Shepshire King, how was the fight in Pittsburgh Woods? Did you fight the 15th Alabama as well?
See what we can find here. Come on, somebody talk to us. Let us know how you are. See all the bugs floating around.
It's going to be hard to find an orb.
Well, you can tell an orb from a bug. I mean, after all, a bug flutters and has wings. An orb is just a ball. That was an orb. Came up off this grave that's laying on the ground right here. Came straight up and shot to the right. There was no flutter in it like there was in that one. Alright, we're going to break out the Paraloose and see what we can pick up with it.
Scanning.
Does somebody have something to say to us? We're out here to learn about you.
Does anyone have something to say?
(1835 to 1907).
Emily.
Emily. On. Over this way, the arrows guiding me this way. How bloody far is it taking me?
Yell.
Yell? Who yelled?
What do you got?
Yell. I can't read that when somebody's painted over it.
Demon.
Demon?
Holy, that's the second time.
Okay, there's something very, very dark. It looks like in this section.
This is the second time that it said one Diablo, the other one Demon.
Mm-hmm. Is there something evil here?
What do you mean by demon? Is anything demonic?
Now it's telling me to go this direction.
Adjective.
Adjective? Can you explain?
Often.
Often.
So, I'm not liking that.
The arrow now it's taking me off in this direction. Often, off in this direction. Do you have anything else to say to us?
Hold on here. I was talking to a person I work with. There's a
Adjective.
There's a mausoleum.
Adjective. Again.
There's a mausoleum down there, and she told me that every time she comes over here, just driving, it gives her the creeps.
Really?
Something in that mausoleum, and
Hey?
and the way that arrow, demonic and everything, demon, demonic, whatever it is, it's
Pointing towards that
it's the
mausoleum.
mausoleum.
Pay. How do we pay?
What do you mean by pay? Pay how?
Knowing the local stories about that mausoleum and the fact we were being drawn to it was our initial shock, but nothing prepared us for the price it expected us to pay for going there. Wait,
So
what?
Your soul.
Yeah, I didn't turn on the paraloose. What about my soul? No frickin' way. What about my soul?
What do you mean? What do you mean by soul?
Well, you know, when you turn the damn thing on, that's the first thing that pops up. Kind of makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up a
It
little
gave
bit.
me the chills saying that, just like the last cemetery on some beloved one. What do you mean by soul? Your soul, what do you mean? It's just weird, it's getting darker.
Yeah. It's getting a lot darker.
Quidditch.
Quidditch. Isn't that game they played in Harry Potter?
Fictional sport by Harry Potter.
What?
Quidditch? No, that's fictional sport invented by J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. Dangerous but popular sport played by witches and wizards riding flying broomsticks. What the hell?
Can you explain? We're not afraid. We know our souls are good and they're strong and we're not afraid of you. Can you explain yourself to us?
Open.
Very open.
Is there a witch buried here that we don't know about?
Is the demon, is the Diablo a witch?
Can you say anything else?
Oh, it will, you watch. I can absolutely bloody guarantee it.
What else do you have to say?
Across.
Across where? Across or a cross?
Across what?
What is that bloody haze?
Well, what I'm kind of weird is there was a light, and the light got turned off right over there. Across where?
Light right there.
That's been there.
Now it's gone. Now it's back.
What else? Angela what? Who's Angela?
Hear you.
Well, fear me.
Fear you. Fear nothing. But just to be
God.
on the safe side.
God.
God.
Okay, now it just got even spookier when it said God.
Alright, we're out of here.
Yep. Two people I've talked to, they want to be nameless. There's a mausoleum pretty much close to where the road is at. And every time they drive by it, or when they get close to it, something inside them creeps them out. It's like when they want to come over here, they want to pull in, or it's something, I don't know what I'm trying to say this, pulls them into that where the mausoleum is, where there's a person buried there. His name is Fred Lee. I couldn't find much on him except for he died of cancer. But it was funny. It was hearing the paralysis saying demon, and the arrow was pointing next to that mausoleum. And just as it was showing that, it dawned on me, hey, that's where the mausoleum was at. So something demonic or whatever caused him to die, or something is in that area that's pointing us in that right direction.
Yeah.
So I tried getting them to explain more, and they're like, no. Every time they heard him, they didn't want to say much about it. So they were nice enough to tell me that much. They were just like, go over there and find for yourself. I'm not going. To this day, they have not come back. One has family buried here, and they won't come over here at all.
What started off as a reasonably calm investigation turned dark rather quick. But we learned a lot about the town of Dowagiac, Michigan, Riverside Cemetery, and earlier off the Hamilton Cemetery. I don't know what to think about that mausoleum, but I'm pretty sure Mark and I will wind up back there again one day. But until then, what happens here at Riverside Cemetery will still remain a mystery here in Southwest Michigan. We can't wait for our next investigation, and we'd like to thank you guys for taking part in this one. Y'all be careful out there. You never know what's there to go bump in the night.